Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Board YouTube channel for our Thursday afternoon weekly NBA takeaway show. We're going to be doing things a little bit differently today. We're going to be going through both of the NBA's conferences, ranking each of the teams in a tier list, and then we'll be going through any questions that you may have in terms of betting, in terms of basketball, before going into any bets that could be on the way for tonight or futures plays that are on the way. So if you enjoy what you see from today's show, make sure to hit the like button. You like the new format a little bit, then also make sure you let us know and subscribe to update with all the content we have here. Not only do you get the Thursday afternoon show with myself, my co-host here, Kirk Evans, but you also get the morning shows with myself and Pips NBA every weekday morning. So, Kirk Evans, we're in kind of full swing after the All-Star break here. Teams making their final pushes for seeding for the rest of the season. How has been the last week of NBA basketball for you, betting-wise?
Yeah, well, the NBA decided to stop calling fouls, so that's been an interesting wrinkle. But otherwise, pretty good. Some weird teams going on right now. A lot of injuries, a lot of barren rosters right now. Makes it a bit harder to price, but also some good prices available out there.
Yeah, the injury to Karl Anthony Towns will certainly shake things up at the top of the NBA's Western Conference. That's when we'll have to see how Minnesota can recover. Me and Pitt spoke about that one a bit this morning. We also spoke about the absolute drop in calls this season and complete drop in free throw rate, which is also shaking things up. But let's not delay any further here. Let's get ourselves into the first tier list here. So let's get started with the Eastern Conference. And we're going to go through each of the teams here, and we're going to rank them on. I've created the list here. We can change it, but I've got the tiers here as contenders, dark horses, playoff teams, play-in teams, missing playoffs, and tanking. So playoff teams would signify a team that's going to make the playoffs, probably wouldn't make noise there. Play-in teams would signify a team that'll get into the play-in tournament, probably won't get out of it. Missing playoffs would be a team that's trying, at least in some capacity, to be a play-in team, but won't get there. And tanking is very self-explanatory. So let's get started. Do you want to go in any specific team order here, or do you want to go just however it's been randomly assigned to us with the tier maker here?
Let's go random. Random.
So we're going to go in order here. We can obviously make changes as we go. But what's your thoughts on the Brooklyn Nets get us started here? Currently the 11 seed, and they are 3 games back of that 10 seed Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, so I guess this is a either a missing playoffs or a play-in team. I'm ready to write them off. They're terrible. There's not that many games left. Missing playoffs. They had a Toronto Raptors-esque trade deadline where they just didn't trade anyone for no reason. And there's been reports that Stars want to group up with Mikal Bridges. I think that's ridiculous. Mikal Bridges is probably the most overrated player in the NBA. Yeah, they're just not much of a team at this point.
Bit of a hot take. I think Mikal Bridges is very good, though I don't think there are stars lining up to play next to him. I think he's the guy that should be lining up to play next to other stars. But,
yeah, I think he's really good. Like, this might be a hot take. Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, very close. Who would I rather? Very close.
I don't know.
Maybe we go OG, honestly.
Mikal's got the self-creation stuff that OG just doesn't have. It's never
but Mikal's self-creation stuff is like on a high-level team. It's just I don't really believe in it at all.
All right. Well, I don't want to dwell too long with the Brooklyn Nets here. I agree with their position here. They don't have their pick, if I'm not mistaken, so there's no point of them tanking. They're going to try and get to the play-in tournament, but probably won't get there. Boston's pretty easy. We are both going to agree that they are contenders. Don't think we need to dwell on that anymore. Atlanta. So I think this one's kind of easy here. If Brooklyn is missing the playoffs, then Atlanta probably just stumbles into the play-in tournament.
Yeah, so Atlanta's a play-in team. They're really injured. They're a complete disaster right now as well. But yeah, they'll be in the play-in and maybe they'll be healthy for the play-in, so we'll see.
There are a lot of good reasons for the play-in tournament, keeping the league more relevant longer. However, this is a pretty bad example for what the play-in tournament can do because you have 35-win Pacers, 35-win Sixers occupying play-in tournament spots, and then 30-win Bulls, and then 28-win Atlanta Hawks. So a team that is very much under 500 is going to be challenging for a playoff spot. So there should probably be some sort of cutoff. Like you should probably have to be within a certain amount of games for other teams to be able to compete in this as they did in the bubble. But I don't know. I think it's a good revenue stream for them to have this. So can't see them doing that. But
Yeah, exactly. The league just will never really do anything to like have things be variable. You know, they never want to take away that game, but I agree with you. In a better world where money was less important, it would be a better way to do it.
absolutely. We go to the Chicago Bulls. We're getting right around the play-in tournament here. They're pretty locked in here at a play-in team. Any disagreements?
Yeah, the 9-10 in the East is pretty locked. There's just really no mobility. The Bulls are, better than the Nets at least.
At least better than the Nets. That's the Chicago Bulls season after
The
continuous
only thing I have to say about the Bulls is if Kobe White wins Most Improved Player, something's gone horribly wrong in this world.
Tyrese Maxey's like the overwhelming favorite, isn't he?
Yeah. Is he going to win though? Are we sure he's going to win?
I don't think it's as clear cut as sportsbook odds suggested as for Maxey, but
I think it's one of those where he like really rocketed to the favorite, and now it's going to be like Joel got hurt and they fell to.
That's true.
They might talk about. I don't want to jump ahead in our tier list, but they might fall into that bucket. So we'll see. But yeah, if it's not Maxey, it should absolutely not be Kobe White.
All right, that's who would you have it as? Şengün potentially.
Yeah, I think it's Şengün. I don't really see why it's not Şengün, other than the fact that people don't seem to care about him much. He's been awesome.
I mentioned we'll save questions for later, but just because it's topical, Eric's asking for Şengün MIP 18-1. Is that something that you look at?
Yes, I would bet that. Yes.
There you go. Nice early piece of betting. Let's go to the Cavaliers here. They're quite good. You're very high on them, so I'll let you lead us off here. How high are you willing to put the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Very high on them as a regular season team. Am I high on them as a playoff team?
Okay.
I don't think so. This is a tough one. This is one of the tougher spots. I am going to say they are a playoff team. I don't think they're.
That's where I was going to put them, and you're higher on them than I am. So
I don't think, especially with this has been a bit of a season from hell in terms of injuries. It's unbelievable how good they've been considering the injuries.
Yeah.
It's hard. Like, what is dark horse? Do they have a 5% chance of winning the title? No.
Dark horse for me would be if they win, it's not surprising.
It would be surprising.
not overly surprising.
Yeah, like I would put their odds at right now, like under 2%. So
playoff team. You'd be shocked, like completely shocked if they won the championship. I'd say that's the level I'd probably consider.
Yeah, it would be really cool though if they did, but they're not gonna.
It'd be kind of cool if they won. I just don't like any team other than the Raptors. I don't want any team to win that's not Toronto. I just have that. That's how I feel.
Unfortunately, I don't think you're getting that this year.
Eating, but we'll get there when we get there. Let's go to the Charlotte Hornets.
Tanking.
They're tanking. I mean, this is not a team trying to win at this point. We agree there.
Oh, absolutely. But Brandon Miller slept on at the draft, still being slept on. Brandon Miller is very good. Very good. Very good. He's by far and away the Hornets' best piece going forward.
I saw somebody mention, like, if Brandon Miller is the best piece, do you trade LaMelo Ball and build around Brandon Miller? That was a conversation going around. For me, it was like, if you're a bad team, you should probably just keep your good players so they can play together.
To me, you trade LaMelo because he stinks and doesn't take basketball seriously, not to anything to do with Brandon Miller.
How you feel about LaMelo Ball? LaMelo Ball is a very good basketball player.
I'm so sick of these unserious players. Like, it's just not.
I think if he's on one of the most unserious teams. So, granted, he might factor into that attitude of the team. But I think if you gave him a serious team and a serious environment, he would thrive and be very good and be
Possibly.
an
I
all-star
think I
again.
think that's certainly the argument to keep him. So I have no problem keeping him or not. I'm just saying the reason to trade him is I think he's pretty unserious and he's just like it's so frustrating when he comes back from injury and he's missed 20 games and he comes back and he's just like immediate. He doesn't take any time of like, oh, I'm back. I'm gonna really lock in here. It's 15 threes where he's shooting them like from 32 feet. Like he's one of the most frustrating players because in my head, if you look back and say, okay, LaMelo Ball is going to be this good of a shooter, how good is he going to be? It's like, oh my God, he should be unbelievable. And he's just not that. But yeah, I guess he's worth keeping because like maybe he had some tail outcomes. He's had a pretty weird, unique career. He still has some high upside outcomes for sure.
Agreed. We'll move on to the Pistons here. I mean, this one's obvious. This team is tanking. We will challenge yourself to seed these teams as well, and perhaps end the season revisit this list and see where we were right and where we were wrong. So
Like,
Pistons, I'll keep.
are we saying seeding in terms of like where they end up in the standings or how
Yes.
depressed you should be if you're a fan of that?
Well, by seeding in the standings, so we will have to gauge near the bottom Wizards and Pistons if they're on the same tier. So
Big matchup tomorrow for that.
yes, absolutely. We go to the Indiana Pacers. They've got a chance. I mean, right now it's a very tight East. They're eighth right now, but like a 3-game win streak, and they might be a fifth seed. Honestly, there's mathematically they could be a home seed if they win a few games in a row here.
Yeah,
But
it's
they're
hard to
on
say because
they're on a downward spiral.
yeah, they've been bad, but like I guess like putting them in the same bucket as the Bulls and the Hawks just feels kind of disrespectful. Like yeah, technically they'll be in the play-in, but I think they're
But they'll get out and be a play. But I mean, like they'll
pretty
advance
likely to
from
be
that.
in the playoffs. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I'd
So
put them up
yeah,
here.
I guess technically put them in the playoffs. Yeah, like they're right around the quality of like yeah, I guess they're like yeah, they're right around the quality of like the Magic. I wish there was a sub tier of just like Magic Pacers who probably will be in the play-in, but are way better than the Bulls and Hawks, but worse than those other teams.
I thought
One
6 was enough tiers here. I didn't want to go overboard. But I
totally
agree.
fair.
If I had to, they'd be in between like the Cavs and then the Bulls and the Hawks. But
Yeah.
I think they're more or closer to the Cavs than they are to the Bulls and the Hawks. Miami, this is one that also in sort of similar spot. I feel,
Yeah.
however, there's always that aura around Miami in the playoffs. Does that give you enough to suggest they could be a dark horse or are they a playoff team? Or maybe worse.
Yeah, like I would say they're a dark horse of like making a run, but they're not going to win the championship. So they're definitely not a dark horse to me. They're going to playoff teams, but Zombie Heat, like again, it's kind of like, yeah, you look, they've been really good of late. They're pretty good roster, honestly. Like they've got a lot of guys. Bam's been having like maybe not his best season. So yeah, I think they're a playoff team, but they're again kind of having this weird year where they're like bad all year and then start to figure it out near playoff time, maybe.
Do you put them above or below the Cavaliers in terms of let's say call it championship probability?
Below
But
the
above the
Cavs,
Pacers.
but clearly above the Pacers.
Okay, so they're in that third tier, the playoff team tier. Now we go to the Raptors. Interestingly, they are very much underdogs to make the play-in tournament. I think it's a bit off, but 5 games back with 20 games remaining. Probably still, for me, a team that's going to be battling it out but misses the playoffs. I don't think they're going to catch the Hawks. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I would say they're either missing playoffs or tanking. So yeah, Brooklyn and Toronto are like they're like the Spider-Man meme. So feels perfect to have them right next to each other.
Would you put the Raptors above Brooklyn? We'll say standing wise, who finishes above the other? I'm not.
What are their current records? I don't have that.
So Brooklyn are 2 games up on Toronto.
No. I have those teams as like right around the exact, like they're right next to me. I have my list pulled up of like my personal power ratings. They are right next to each other. Feels very appropriate.
We got to choose. No, we got to put one ahead of the other.
I have to put one ahead of the other. In terms of standings, I'll definitely go Brooklyn because I have them as like around the same, and Brooklyn has a couple wins.
Okay. I'm not. Okay. I'll go with you here. I'm not convinced that will be the case, but
Well,
I'll leave it as is. I
also,
think the Raps are more likely to tank. So
yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say. The Raptors are just more likely to tank as well.
I don't think they will, though, on purpose, at least.
Yeah, well, like Scotty's done. Like, yeah, I agree. I probably don't think RJ and Quickly sit much, but I don't know.
They're gonna be bad, and
Yeah.
Pirtle out as well. That's actually massive as well.
We're 10-point dogs to the Suns tonight, and they don't have Booker, so that's a good example of how bad.
Very good example. And 41-point loss at home last game. Another good example. Let's go to the Milwaukee Bucks. Have they done enough post All-Star break to reaffirm any sort of status as a contender? Are they a dark horse, or are they in that same tier with the other playoff teams?
Clearly not a playoff team. Either a dark horse or a contender. I would put them.
I ain't putting them next to Boston. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's like if they're in contender status, like Boston's way more of a contender than Milwaukee. Like, I definitely don't think it would be shocking if Milwaukee wins the title. I think they're probably like 7%, 6%.
So dark horse. I think
So yeah, does that make you a dark horse though? That's like pretty good chance of making of winning the championship. But yeah,
so in between contender and dark horse for
yes,
but
yeah,
not
like,
enough to put them next to Boston.
Like Milwaukee's right there in terms of like they're probably the third most likely team to win the title. Is that crazy to say? I think I would have that.
How about I'll amend my rules here. We'll add a row above and we'll call it the Boston tier because Boston. Oh, did I mess up here? Well, Boston are their own team here. We'll satisfy.
Yeah, I like that.
I hate doing this.
I'm fine to have Milwaukee and dark horse. Yeah, okay, we can put them in contender. Sure.
Okay, so does that new tier make Cleveland a dark horse for you ahead of Miami and Indiana, or does that still keep them there?
Good question.
All right, let's leave it. Let's revisit.
No. Put Cleveland in dark horse. If we're defining, like has percentage chance, like it's not below a 1% chance to win the title, Cleveland is certainly there.
Does that allow Miami to move up too?
No, Miami's not.
No, keep Miami. All right, New York Knicks. If they're healthy, they're clearly a dark horse to me. But
I agree, they're very similar to the Cavs. But man, this team is being bad of late. They're just going to be they're just at such a standings disadvantage to Cleveland at this point. No, I think they're in playoff teams, honestly. Okay. I think they're a worse team than the Cavs.
I think they're top of the playoff teams, though.
I agree. They're close to a dark horse, but they're probably going to be like the Cavs could finish 2 in the East. That's a big help. You get a couple home series and then get a bit lucky versus the Knicks have a serious. They could fall to the play-in. I don't really see why not. True. So I think playoff teams is fair.
All right, the Magic have gone on a surge. Does that enough to put them dark horse, or be keeping them as a playoff team?
No. They're clearly worse than New York and Miami, and worse than Indiana.
Worse than Indiana's, but I still think they're a playoff team. I think they'll be
agreed. I have them as a playoff team, and like if we're ranking in terms of standings, they're probably ahead of Indiana. They've got 2 wins on them, 2 losses. Like they're fully 2 games ahead. So yeah, they'll. If I had to predict standings, I would have Orlando ahead of them, but Indiana has more upside to me.
Okay, 76ers, kind of a yikes spot for them right now.
Gotta put them in dark horse just because Embiid could be back. But yeah, they're a total disaster.
Oh, do you put? I don't put them. You want to put them dark horse?
Well, fully healthy, they were like the second best team in the East.
Yeah,
this
but
year, so.
I don't know. You gotta.
And Embiid says he's gonna come back. Like I would give them a. Yeah, I think we put them in dark horse.
Okay,
it's a tough road, but there's a plausible chance they have the best player in the league on their team in the playoffs. Like you can't have them as a
player when he's not healthy, though.
No, that's fair, and he's probably going to come back pretty out of shape. But again, like there's a world where things go really right for him.
Okay, fair enough. Final one. This one's tough. Are the Wizards above or below the Pistons in the standings?
I can't say I've looked into it too much.
I might put them below.
Yeah, they're probably below. Both of it really depends on today and tomorrow. Honestly, Detroit has a good chance of winning today. Washington has a good chance of winning tomorrow. So we'll see. But yeah, let's put Washington at the
All right. The most
bottom here.
unserious team in the league at the basement here. There is our Eastern Conference tier list. I'm pretty happy with as is. I don't think it needs any changes.
Yeah, no, it looks good to me. Looks pretty much exactly how I'd have it. Boston in a tier of its own, Milwaukee in a tier of its own.
Yeah.
Dark horse playoff teams, you could have some debate. Indiana and Orlando. I love making sub tiers. They're probably a sub tier to me, but
we can't
otherwise.
There's already enough tiers here.
I agree. Otherwise, looks good.
Let's move to the West now and try to piece this together. So I don't think this one requires a tier of their own for like the Boston. So I think the 6 will work for this one. So if we have to make an extra tier, we can make one extra tier along the way, I'll say.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I need to recalibrate my brain with like the Towns. We'll get to it, but the Towns injury, some weird reporting. How healthy will he be if he comes back? We'll see about that.
So
the Lakers,
they are
playing team.
So they're 1 game back of the Mavericks as the 8th seed. To get to the 6th seed, it's 3 games. I don't think they'll get there.
LeBron hurt his foot yesterday as well.
Do you think they get out of the play-in tournament?
No.
I feel pretty good about them in single elimination games.
I would bet against it right now. I think, well, just because I think they're pretty likely to be in the 9 or 10.
Yes,
I agree. They've got a really, really good path to be in the 10. So, or bad path, whichever way you want to look at it.
I guess it matchup depending. Because if they get the Kings, then I would take the Lakers. If they get the Suns or Pelicans, I do not take the Lakers.
Yeah, and also I'm taking if the Warriors are at home, I'm certainly favoring the Warriors over the Lakers. So
and I think the Warriors trend upwards better than the Lakers do. Okay, I think you can play in.
I'd probably make them like 40% to make the playoffs, maybe slightly less. I would need to look at their schedule and see how bad LeBron's foot injury is. But if it's anything that's going to keep them out, they're pretty cooked.
I think that's fair. On to the Dallas Mavericks. I think this is a play-in team. I think they have a very strong chance of getting eliminated in the play-in tournament. I mean, they can't play defense. They've struggled as of late, but they can't play defense. And that's going to catch up to them. They're on a bit of a fall here. What do you see the Dallas Mavericks doing?
Yeah, I agree. They're I can't say they're not a play-in team because I'm way less confident they're in the playoffs than the Pacers or the Magic or the whoever's going to be in the East play-in.
Well, don't worry about the East. We'll just.
I'm just saying as a comparison point. I'm not like I think the Mavs are likelier to make the playoffs and miss it for sure, but it's like very much within the realm of possibilities that they miss.
All right,
Luka pretty unserious as well of late. He puts up insane stat lines, but again, it's just you watch him play and it's pretty frustrating. They're pretty unlikely to make it to the 6, so playing team seems about right to me.
If we have to move him up, so we have 6 teams ahead, then we'll change it. But for now, I think it's a good spot. Denver
contenders, for sure. They're
still very good.
Yeah, they're 1 seed. They've jumped to me to being. They've clearly turned it on post All-Star break. Jokic looks really good. They're a clear tier 2 team in the league.
I agree. Next up, Houston Rockets. They're
missing
fun.
The playoffs, but a totally respectable missing the playoffs. The only thing is that where do they go? Are they really gonna? I could see them kind of becoming like Kings good, maybe, but I don't really see the path to them being actually good. But fun season for them.
Going forward.
Yeah, like Şengün's good. Green's been okay of late.
Amon Thompson getting a serviceable 3-pointer, but that's
a good point. Yeah, and Cam Whitmore's actually really good. They've got a bit of a future.
Let's go to the Golden State Warriors.
Playing
team.
They've got a shot.
Well, somebody's got to make the playoffs out of the play-in tournament. I would probably
no, but they're
so they'll be in the play-in tournament, but
they're not. They're more likely than not to be the 9 or 10, I would say. Then
They're only a half game back at Dallas. I think they're better than Dallas.
yeah,
Dallas
it's
is 8.
close. They're pretty close. I don't know. I think that's a fair group. I think all three of those teams are actually pretty similar.
We can
I think that's
amend
fine.
later. Clippers.
I'll go dark horse. I don't. I'm
You don't
really
think? Okay.
no.
I had
I'm
them
really.
as. I think you had them as the number 1 team in the West, either last week or 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Yeah, I'm really. They're just, maybe they're a contender. They actually, odds wise, are there.
I think they're a contender.
I'm falling a bit out of love. They've been so bad of late. They've played massive minutes. They have big injury concerns. They have the Harden problem.
Do you think they're really behind like where the Nuggets are?
Yes. I think they're considerably behind the Nuggets. I think they're much closer. I think they're like more likely than the other West. It's kind of like they're Milwaukee, but I would put them a little lower odds than Milwaukee. I'd have them probably the 4th best chance of winning the title. Okay. Which, maybe makes you a contender. It's really close.
Okay. Interesting. Let's go to the Spurs. They're tanking. Pretty simple. They've been fun second half of the season. Wembanyama's been amazing.
Wemby, man.
They're tanking.
Yeah, for sure. But Wemby's out of his mind how good this guy is.
Agreed. Timberwolves, now they're interesting. I think they're clearly a dark horse prior to the cat injury. Are you prepared to say that they've stepped down a tier with the cat injury? Because even if he is back in the playoffs, he won't be healthy. Where do you want to put the Timberwolves?
Yeah, I think they're a playoff team.
I unfortunately agree. I feel so bad for Timberwolves fans, but yeah, not a healthy cat. This is already a bottom half NBA offense. Without Cat, they get even worse there.
Yeah, they have a lot of playoff question marks with Cat, and now without him, it's going to be really tough. But we'll see. Maybe he's back, and then we upgrade him again.
Agreed. New Orleans, this team is good. Not just saying that because they obliterated the Raptors. This team's good. They're a very good defense. They're a very good offense. A lot of ways to score. Fingers crossed.
I've had many conversations over the past few days of should I be betting the New Orleans Pelicans to win the West? The odds are just kind of ridiculous. I don't see why they're so much less likely than, all the teams around them. They're 5th in adjusted net right now. They're just really solid. They kind of suck as a playoff team in terms of construction, but no one's that good. But I would still have them as a playoff team. Even now, I don't think they're more likely out of the West than Minnesota, but if you can get 30-1,
I think
put a couple dollars on it.
Do you put them above or below Minnesota? Minnesota will probably
below
home seed, so
yeah,
they're below. I think they're better though. But home seed.
Also, New Orleans, Zion was out, I believe, last year in the playoffs, and they had a really good showing.
They missed playoffs.
When was it? 2 years ago they played Phoenix, or last year they played Phoenix?
It was 2 years ago they played Phoenix.
They missed the playoffs last year.
Pretty sure. Wait, because I'm pretty sure Minnesota. Yeah, because the Lakers got out of the play-in tournament, and
yeah, you're right.
Minnesota
they were not
also
in the
got out of the
playoffs.
play-in tournament.
2 years ago they played Phoenix.
Yeah, and had a competitive.
It was a great series
that looked like they could beat the Suns at one point.
Yeah. It was a really good series. So could be a fun playoff team.
That seems
Thunder. Good. I'm going dark horse.
I think the dark horse as well. I think they've got.
They're just really good. Great path to the 1 seed with Cat out. So clearly have a shot. And also, I've been having some conversations about betting them to win the West.
Let's go to the Phoenix Suns. Are they playoff or are they dark horse?
This one's a tough one. I don't really believe in this team very much.
I probably want to put them as the highest playoff team on this list.
I agree. I think they're pretty clearly a tier below OKC.
And that gives us our 6 playoff teams, and we can maybe add in one more later. Let's go to Portland. They're tanking.
Yeah.
Will they be ahead of the Spurs?
Yes.
The
Spurs aren't going to win 4 more games, I don't think.
Yeah. Agreed. Sacramento, probably a play-in team at this stage.
I think they're a playoff team.
You think they get out of the play-in tournament?
Well, yeah, it's tough because they just have a really good path of not being in the play-in. They're only a half game back of Phoenix right now.
Okay. Fair enough.
And tied in the loss column as 11-point favorites today. They might as well be tied with Phoenix.
Yeah, that's good. Let's go to the Jazz.
Tanking.
They're tanking.
Well, Lauri Markkanen has an injury that
Right.
I didn't see it. I don't know if you did. It's mythical, and he's missed a bunch of games. They love tanking the Jazz, and it makes sense. They're going to try getting their pick. I think it's top 10 protected.
Okay, and Memphis, that team, that is a tanking team right there.
They're tanking so bad that Zaire Williams can't play for them. He's out for like 3 months now.
So we got everything in order here. Do you like it at the bottom in terms of the seeding? This is what I would have it as.
Yeah, well, the Jazz could finish above Houston, but Houston's just much more respectable. They're trying way harder, but I think Houston finishes above Utah anyway. I don't think we're going to see much Markkanen or Clarkson going forward.
Okay.
So I think we're good. I like this tier.
Well, we're going to have to pick one of these play-in teams as who we think will make the playoffs.
Oh, because you're saying we need 8 right now.
We need 8 playoff teams.
Got you.
Or higher. So
okay. So we're defining play-in team as like eliminated in the play-in.
Yeah, for the sake of this, yes. I agree they're on the same tier, but for coming back and looking later, let's see if we can get who that playoff team will be.
Ooh, this is a tough question here.
My pick is Golden State.
I think I agree.
All right, so we'll put Golden State at the back here. They're probably better than the Kings, but the Kings have a path to being top 6, so more likely.
I definitely think the Kings are more likely a playoff team than Golden State, even though Golden State's a better team.
All right, so there we have it. Western Conference. Just full picture here. We have the Eastern Conference, as I said, as we did earlier, which
you look at this list, and it's like, wow, that Western Conference playoffs is going to be incredible.
It's really funneled at the top here for the East, and then for the West, it's a lot more constricted and loaded up.
Might be worth flying out to the West Coast for the NBA playoffs, so the games are at 7 for the West games, because like the East games, the first round is going to be kind of boring. But this is going to be ridiculous.
What you got to do, the best time zone Central, because you get decent time for both the East Coast and West Coast games.
That's a good call.
What is the best time zone in the world for sports in general, not just basketball? I feel like you can't beat Central because you get
Central sounds about right.
Because you still get
Sunday's
European
a bit
stuff.
early. 9 a.m. is too early for football.
Yeah. Absolutely. Whatever. Yeah. So Central to me, you get like you'd get NFL at noon. If you're into soccer, you'd get soccer. Absolute earliest would rarely be 6:30, but the bulk of games would be 9 a.m. So you'd have that. You'd get NFL at noon. You'd get East Coast basketball at 6, West Coast basketball at 9. I've
never thought about this before, but you totally convinced me. I completely agree. That sounds like a dream, honestly. I might need to move
to Central Time Zone. Just operate on Central Time Zone clock.
Because 7's like is a little late for start of games, and 10 is also just kind of too late. Like games end a bit too late. But like a 9 o'clock start, I'm never like, oh, this is gonna end so late. And 10:30 games are really the worst. That's terrible. That's ending so late. But 9:30 and then an 8:30 game's actually 7:30. I love it.
If you're on the West
I'm booking
Coast,
my ticket.
If you're on the West Coast, you get Eastern Conference games at 4 p.m. Like you're still at work or you're in school, you might still be doing that. It's horrible.
Yeah, no, that's too early.
It's all about Central Time Zone. All right, let's get into some questions from the chat. We got 2 from Eric for today here. First of all, betting one here. What price is Jake LaRavia double good to on Friday? -200?
No, I don't think so. I saw Jake LaRavia. I didn't see, what did he do last night? Did he play really well? I saw he was amazing 2 games ago. He had an insane stat line. Has he been? Is Jake LaRavia going? Is it Jake LaRavia season? Yeah. So he's back-to-back double doubles. Probably -400. I would take it to.
-400 for Jake LaRavia. He had 19 and 13 last time out against the 76ers. 0 assists, though. This guy's just a sniper. Or perhaps his teammates aren't good enough to actually score off of any passes. So maybe a bit of both for this Grizzlies team. Second question. Kelly Olynyk just signed for the Raptors, or signed an extension rather. It's 2 years, $26.25 million. Obviously, Raptors in a rebuild phase here. We'll start off with you, Kirk. What are your thoughts on the signing for the Raptors, fit-wise and financially speaking?
Bit of a shoulder shrug. Seems like a fine deal. Seems like we'll probably be able to trade it. It's a nice salary slot, honestly, to have on the roster at 13 million. Like, very tradable in a lot of different scenarios. He's also been like really good. He puts up crazy stat lines, but and actually, as I'm
And he
talking
hasn't been
through it,
shooting well, and he's still playing well.
as I'm talking through it, I like it maybe a little more because I do like surrounding young teams with talent, but it just is maybe a bit of a bad signal of, we don't really want to go full into the tank, which is probably the only path we have to being actually good in the future.
Yeah. Don't think they're going to go full into the tank. So in that case, yes, I like this. I like this signing. Financially, I would have liked just a touch under what he signed for, but I still think it's fine. Reduces the Raptors' cap hold in the offseason by a good amount as well. So they actually have more flexibility after signing this contract. He's a guy who will play whatever role you ask him to. He just fits in anywhere. Allows you to play two bigs if you need to go two bigs. Can play as the solo big. Versatile, vet, loves being here. I think that this is just a good match for the Raptors and for Kelly. Hopefully can continue to play well and figure out his 3-point shot, which I'm sure he will. He's shooting it. If you take just the Raptors sample, it'd be the worst season of his career shooting wise. That's not going to continue.
Yeah, he's shooting like 20% as a Raptor from three.
Yeah,
right?
And like it's weird shootings. RJ Barrett's like a 50% free throw shooter all of a sudden. That too is just completely strange. Let's go to finally our betting segment here. Discuss any bets you may have for today. A nice back on track week last week. 2 picks given out on the show, one from myself and one from you, and it was a winner. Franz Wagner, you had under 31.5 PRA, and he finished at 23. So yes, a winner there. And I just decided, we were talking about it in chat, the Jimmy Butler bet I had, we went over 30.5 PRA. Guess what? 31 PRA for Jimmy Butler makes that play a winner. So we'll take
Let's
it.
go.
We had a nasty hook early on this show, so we'll take the positive one here. Anything for this for this week, or perhaps for tonight, that you're looking at betting wise?
Yeah, I'll give out a couple here. I like Jaden McDaniels over 3.5 rebounds at plus. There's plenty of plus 230s out there, honestly. So let's go with that.
Okay. Jaden McDaniels rebounds at plus 130. I think you're
130. Sorry.
I know
the decimal conversion,
of course,
I always screwed up.
So DraftKings, you can get that at plus 130, as you can for PointsBet if you can bet there.
Yeah. Plus 125 is fine as well.
Plus 125 at BetMGM, also good. And at Betway, is it just kind of factoring in that no cat hasn't adjusted enough for the rebounding here?
Yeah, I just like I think he gets a lot more guaranteed minutes. No cat. He sees a big increase of rebounds when cat's off, which makes perfect sense. He slots up to the 4. Kyle Anderson probably will start. And yeah, I just think minutes plus rebounding increase gets us to plus EV pretty easy.
All right, there we go. First play. Any other plays for today?
Yeah, let's go. RJ Barrett under 1.5 threes. There's a lot of 1.84s, minus 120, minus 125. I'm happy with that.
Plus 108 at FanDuel.
No, under.
Oh, sorry, under. My apologies. Minus 115 at ESPN Bet365, PointsBet. That should be enough places for anybody who wants this to be able to get down. So minus 115. What's the thought for this one?
Yeah, just typically these guys, like no Scotty, these books will increase usage and then think there's an increased 3-point volume coming. But I actually think with RJ having the ball in his hands more, he's probably going to shoot less threes. He doesn't really shoot threes off the dribble. He likes to drive, get to the net. I just don't think it's that usage increase is going to trickle down to threes much.
Interesting angle, and I definitely see the reasoning associated with it.
And he was 0 for 2 last game as well. Not that, it's one game, small sample, but playing the team that allows the most threes in the league last game and only shot 2 just confirms that, maybe not confirms, but adds a little more basis as to him not seeing that big of an increase in 3-point volume.
All right, so there we go. 2 plays for today. Sorry, was that it for the plays today?
Yeah.
Okay, so those are the 2 plays for today. First of all, Jaden McDaniels over 3.5 rebounds. That's plus 130 odds. And we'll also go for RJ Barrett under 1.5 3-pointers made as Raptors take on the Suns tonight, minus 115 odds. All right, that will do it for today's show. Thank you, everybody, for taking time. Tune in today and let us know if you're watching back later on. Do you agree or disagree with the tier list that we have from the channels, from the show today? I thought it was a pretty good segment, and we'll look back at the end of the season to see if we were right on certain things and if we were wrong on certain things as well. But make sure you subscribe to the channel, keep up to date with all the content we have here. Like this one if you did enjoy. Me and Kirk Evans will be back Thursday, same time, same place next week, but I'll be back tomorrow morning with Pips to round up the week with more NBA free picks. Hope to see you there.